There's some people that's watched this episode that they're not caught up. They just want to watch the Gear 5 episode. So this is probably the best thing for you to watch because I'm going to explain things, okay? We're here to break down the episode. Did it break the internet? Conversation for another day. But this isn't really necessary. Let's get to the episode. So the episode it basically starts out with us where we left off last time, Luffy coming out with dreads. And it starts out with us seeing the transformation. Full Luffy going from dead to Gear 5. I mean, the most interesting part about this scene, I guess leading up to it, is the drums and how Oda or Toei is incorporating the drums into his transformation. So I like how much they're incorporating the drums. Zunisha is also a major part because Zunisha is letting us know just how important this transformation is. Momonosuke and Yamato, they reiterate that. Zunisha mentions this is the first time I'm hearing them in 800 years, which is pretty astounding considering just how long this devil fruit has been around. But like the world government says, we'll talk about later in the episode, it's been evading them. But the first time in 800 years means this is the first time this devil fruit probably has been awakened in 800 years. Not used, just awakened, which goes back to probably Joy Boy. So in this moment, it's like the drums, it's reviving Luffy. Not like Enel did, but almost like the music is bringing his heartbeat back. And we know these are advanced Conqueror's Haki sparks, advanced Conqueror's Haki lightning. And the fact that it's coming out of him just bass, right? It's saying drums of liberation. I'm assuming that's what it's spelling out. Kaidos are now about to launch an attack. I like the change in music as well. But Luffy just losing it is just absolutely amazing for me. And they're trying to have him bounce to the beat. This is a bit draggy. They're trying to show the impact of the moment, which to me falls a bit flat considering that Luffy was not dead for long enough. If he was dead longer and they were like literally about to be annihilated, and Kaido sent out a few attacks, but it still feels like Luffy should have been out a bit longer. However, I understand the sentiment. Joy Boy. And what I like as well is that somehow Zunisha and how he says Joy Boy has returned somewhat in the same cadence once Luffy starts talking in Gear 5. So I'm sure that's probably an intentional thing, but I did like that. Luffy gets brought up. Like, it seems like this was unintentional. This was not even his intention. He got awakened by his devil fruit. I'm not sure if this is an aspect of Luffy's devil fruit that we want to consider a plus, because you have to be at a certain state to die and then awaken. We're not sure if that's even a necessary prerequisite, but that's what happened. So, but it seems like the devil fruit has taken control, and that's what woke him up. And the thing is, what I love about this as well is that it woke him up and it dropped him down. And what's happening here is that the ground is being impacted by his devil fruit, whereas it's rubbery now. And it's bouncing Luffy up, is lightning just emanating from him, and he's still technically not conscious yet, right? Technically, he's not conscious yet, and this is happening. It is actually remarkable. Luffy is not conscious, but his devil fruit and the spirit or the essence of it has taken over and is doing its thing. They did reuse a bit of animation in this episode we'll talk about as well, but in general, I didn't mind it because the animations they reused, I wanted to see it again. The only one I didn't, we'll get to it. And you can tell he isn't fully transformed yet because his clothes are still his regular color. I love, in the manga, you can't really portray these things. You can convey it as best as possible, but I love this. And again, he's moving to the beat. And I absolutely love this part. He's like awakening. Literally, you know, so that's the symbolic thing as well, where it's like he's waking up while his devil fruit is awakening. So it's like, it's almost twofold, right? This is his awakening, literally and figuratively. That iconic smile. He's finally remembering. Casually falls down. With Momonosuke and Yamato both having read Oden's journal, they understand, they know exactly what Joy Boy means, even more than we do. Kinda. This laugh, you can't really convey it in the manga, but it's not as just happy-go-lucky. It's maniacal. It is scary. It is terrifying, actually. And look at the power. Look at the power. He's so powerful at this point, he woke Sanji up. And he's inside the left brain tower. You love to see it. I love this moment. Now, this is sick. It's terrifying, which I would love if Oda explored some of the darkness within Joy Boy and the transformation. I don't think you'd ever go there. But just what they're doing with the transformation, understand what Luffy just did, okay? Understand what Luffy just did. Typically, the skies split. Okay, the skies split when two Yonko clash. Luffy did it on his own. Luffy did it on his own. Watching it in real time now. Did it on his own. To reveal the moon. Just a beautiful shot. And the laugh, again, maniacal. And this is when we get to the Gorosei. And again, there's some people that's watched this episode that they're not caught up. They just want to watch the Gear 5 episode. So this is probably the best thing for you to watch because I'm going to explain things, okay? So we get into the explanation with the Gorosei, and they're explaining the reasons behind things. Right? And how Guernica, by the way, people are saying that was a foreshadowing because how his name was spelled, Guernika, Guernica, the CP0 agent. But we'll talk about foreshadowings in another video. But they sacrificed one of their best agents to kill Luffy, considering what was or what could have possibly come about. And I love the music behind it as well. This is the music I believe was in episode 1000 when Luffy's walking past Big Mom and Kaido. It's almost like one of jubilation, right? And it's so powerful. I love this OST. What it's explaining here is how they always try to get a hold of the Gomu Gomu no Mi, which is astounding considering the price tag that they had on things like the OP no Mi, right? They're willing to pay a hefty price tag. Even with the resources they have, they couldn't get a hold of the Gomu Gomu no Mi, or what they thought was the Gomu Gomu no Mi, or what we thought it was. This is a crazy drop as far as talking about zone fruits having a will of their own, considering that for the most part, we did not know Luffy's fruit was a zone type devil fruit. When we knew Zoans did have a will of their own. So him dropping this information on us, it's a mind fuck because, bro, you're telling me that Luffy is not actually a paramecia, but a mythical Zoan devil fruit, which does go back to the origins of the devil fruit. Like Shanks, we find out in Wano that Shanks specifically went after Who's Who and that devil fruit. And Who's Who did provide some precursor for this, talking about Joy Boy and how he used to basically be there for the slaves, etc. Was leading up to this moment for us to see the Gomu Gomu no Mi, or rather Hito Hito model Nika fruit, is much more important than we initially thought. Insanity. Clean, very clean animation here. I love it. To get the iconic shot. This is the money shot from the manga. To get this shot. And while they're explaining what the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika fruit is about, Luffy is basically displaying it. How much he's impacting the surroundings is just prototypical awakening, right? The sun god. It's explaining basically the power up at this point, right? That the awakening is giving the rubber person more strength and more freedom, meaning more creativity. At this point, this person can do whatever the hell they want to do. Just an amazing showcase. Now, this part of the episode, we don't care about. If you want to break down on this episode, I'm sure somebody else did it. I will not. So now, basically, it's Luffy just seeing what he can do. And it's almost like he's creating after images with his devil fruit. This is crazy. That's sick. Look at that. That's sick. That's just natural after images. And the thing is, this is perfect for someone like Luffy that's as enthusiastic, as creative as he is. He says his heartbeat sounds funny. Not sure if that means anything right now. Maybe it will in the future, but it's basically explaining that the drums of liberation could be the reasoning for his awakening, more than likely. Now again, base. Just chilling. Insanity. Now I did love this eye catcher. It transitioned right from the eye catcher into the actual show. It's actually insane how they did it. The swirly eyebrows, like they mentioned with Sanji and Devil Fruit powers, or the swirly eyes, like they mentioned with Sanji and the swirly eyebrows, what they mean. That means that basically you're in tune with your Devil Fruit and Devil Fruit powers, etc. It has to go with the origins of Devil Fruits. And white hair, red eyes is never a miss in anime. Again, this is reusing animation that some people were perturbed by. I didn't mind as much considering that this is what I wanted, right? I wanted to see a Gear 5 showcase. But some people felt like reusing the animation here was a bit off-putting. And I can understand it knowing the history of Toei. But look at these shots. Look how Luffy's just moving, right? Enel thought he had a difficult time with Luffy in the past. Imagine the time Enel would have with Luffy now. Look at this. Imagine Enel trying to predict what Luffy's doing. He's just doing stuff. Just doing stuff. And I think it's fantastic. Now, for some people, they're worried about what was happening because, like, they couldn't tell what was happening. It felt like there was too much going on. And I can understand that. But again, just reusing animation, adding a bit more laughter, I guess. Now, for Luffy blowing into his arm, this feels like he doesn't really have to do it. He's just doing it just because. Considering what he does later. Someone's color of the Supreme King. So Luffy's Conqueror's Haki is just leaking out at base. Guys, he's not trying to do this. This is just happening. It's destroying things around him. Like, remember back then when we used to talk about Shanks and how Shanks went on Whitebeard's ship and destroyed Whitebeard's ship? Luffy can do the same thing at this point. Which is someone like Shanks' Wi-Fi Haki. Not saying Luffy's on Shanks' level, but he's doing some things that are reminiscent of Shanks. And here comes Luffy for Kaido. And this is terrifying because he reaches down like the hand of God, right? Reaching down and grabbing him. Just grabbed him like a child, like a lizard, and said, "Come with me." And it's so sick, right? Luffy's Devil Fruit transcends all logic. All logic. Everybody is affected. Because here's the thing, it brings smiles. So imagine somebody watching this fight, they're laughing as well because of how ridiculous it is. He's Joy Boy. So even Kaido is victim to Luffy's pace. Kaido has no chance, by the way, at this point. Because this is Luffy's showcase. Luffy turns into a more muscle-bound wrestling aesthetic. I love this moment as well. I really love this moment. Just because of how he said it. Make him okay. It's just so free. I loved it. He's piecing Kaido up at this point. And look at Leo. Look at look at the stars. Look at the stars. Stun. Look at his eyes. His eyes are still there. Again, absolute toon force. There's nothing Luffy can do at this point. And Kaido is, again, victim to this punishment. Some people were perturbed. Again, the fact that they couldn't tell what was going on because there was so much happening. That was intentional. I would have liked it to be a bit more clear what was happening. I didn't mind it too much. But even somebody I know said that they felt like they had 3 seizures while watching the show. It's a lot going on, right? So like for me pausing at this point, you're probably finally seeing everything that was happening if you didn't. Right? Kaido's eyes consistently out of his head. Luffy having a blast. A lot of Sakuga. I'm not sure if this is meant to be like emulating Gear 2nd where he's pumping a bit more. But slamming Kaido over and over. And this is typical in a lot of cartoons, especially Tom and Jerry, which this was inspired by. Where there have been times where Jerry, remember when Jerry eats milk, he bulks up and then Jerry starts slamming Tom. So yeah, that's what Oda was clearly going for. That's what the animators are going for. And And me, quite frankly, Tom and Jerry's one of my favorite cartoons of all time. So for me, Gear 5 was never about the form, but about the effect and the tonal shift and how it affects the story. But I mean, look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. And having a good time doing it, by the way. Kaido has stars, right? This is typical for a lot of Looney Tunes. And he's laughing at Kaido. In the manga, you understand the laughing, but then he starts clapping with his feet. Yeah, so he starts clapping with his feet while Kaido is recovering. Somebody does this to me, I might have to give up. We think Kaido is dead, but Kaido just quit after this happened to him. He's still trying to process what happened. And he's having a ball. That's the only thing where it's like, because with Awakening, kind of become more in tune with your Devil Fruit, the nature of the Devil Fruit could take over. With Gear 5, you wonder how much Luffy's going to play around in serious moments, because even versus, all right, I'm not going to spoil because they're probably anime only watching this, but golly. Kaido saying that is hilarious considering what just happened to him. And now this is an amazing moment because like Luffy sees the attack coming towards him. And again, in this form, everything is a joke. Right? And again, in this moment, he flips over, right? To pay attention a bit to what's going on. Almost blown away by some of the power. His eyes bulge out to see exactly what was going on. Typical Looney Tunes fashion. Love that moment. Oh my God, did you guys see that? Luffy went and got his eyes. He reached out for his eyes to pull them back into his head. He said, I need these. Pull them back into his head. But he pushed his hands too far and they went past his body. That would have been a dope way to transition into Bazooka, by the way. Right? But what happens? Kaido uses his signature blast breath, his hyper beam. Right? Luffy then catches up to his arm that he initially snapped back when he put his eyes back into his head. Flips over because this attack is now coming after him. So he's somersaulting, reaches out for the ground because the ground is rubbery. Moonwalking, ladies and gentlemen. Luffy is moonwalking. Moonwalking. Guys, I know. In real time, it's like, whoa, he is moonwalking on air. Moonwalking. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. He's trying to pick up this item. Prototypical Looney Tune, eyes coming out, teeth coming out, picking up the ground to send this attack back to Kaido. Remember, this is rubbery. So it comes all the way out and bounces right back. And again, this is hard to follow in real time, but they're trying to make it as wacky as possible. Giving him the stress icon. It's hard to follow, but they're making it wacky. And even in the moment, look, Luffy transforms to make himself a bit more muscular to be able to pull this off. Iconic. This will be a meme going forward. This face. A meme going forward. You can't stop it. Look at this. And Luffy just watching this show. Kaido's hurt. He's hit by his own attack before by Ryza, but he's hurt. And after something like this, where he sends his own attack, look at Kaido. Typical Looney Tunes. When you get hit by something explosive, you turn black and smoke comes out of your mouth, the music, the OST. And Luffy peeks at it and just starts absolutely dying. And the thing is, what I love about this episode is that every single moment with Luffy and the Gear 5 stuff is bringing a smile to my face. You know what I'm saying? So it's like how One Piece is transcending the manga and actually affecting our real world, where I was smiling and I was happy about what was going on, you know? This is the part that we want to spend some time on because this title card is the best we've seen in the story because it's iconic. It's showing us the iconic things about Gear 5, but greater than that, it's showing us Luffy's moments, right? Gear 3rd, Gear 4th, Axe Hand Morgan, Rob Lucci. Gear 3rd, Rob Lucci. Gear 4th, Lord of the Coast on Amazon Lily. Is this Marineford? Snake Man. Crocodile, Rob Lucci. Right? This is us. This is Oda showing us Katakuri, Kurahado, Captain Kuro, Smoker, going through Luffy's moments. Don Krieg, Hody Jones, Kuma, Arlong, the Pacifista after the time skip, Caesar, Crocodile, a Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd, Gear 4th, the Icon. This was just in the Wano arc. Red Rock or Red Hawk. All this was a proponent of this devil fruit. Luffy is the man. That leads to this beautiful title card. Right? And look at this. It shows Luffy, the devil fruit. You love to see it. There's not beautiful. Now, for people that's like downplaying this episode, I want you guys to really focus on just how much time went into these things. And he's still bouncing on this rock, just laughing up a storm. But Kaido's a beast, because after all that, Kaido's still apologizing to him. It shows me that Kaido himself has grown from the Odin stuff, because from the Odin stuff, he never really showed that much remorse. You could tell that he was affected, but now it's like, I wonder what he would do if he could go back again. He did end up killing the old hag, he says, but this is a part of the episode that I didn't love when they went back and they were showing like just flashbacks to stuff we just saw. We just saw all this stuff. I get it. I get it. It's padding because they want to make the next episode better, right? Because the next episode, based on what Luffy does, I think will be better than this episode. Personally, I think it'll be better. But Luffy doesn't care about that. What I also love is the movements of this, like, he keeps running on air. And again, Oda loves shit like this. It's like, it doesn't matter, bro. And it's going back, taking us through Luffy versus Kaido, the iconic moments that they had. It doesn't really hit because we've seen these moments time and time and time again. If you're not somebody that's really been watching and paying attention, you appreciate these things. For us that's been paying attention in the manga, in the anime, it's not as appreciated. But let's go back, because Luffy's movements is what we're paying attention to. Right? Because it's just beautiful. He jumps. He somersaults and jumps. And he actually misses a step. He falls flat on his face, jumps up, flexes to say, I'm okay, right? Claps, and then starts running in place, bro. It's so good. Again, this episode is so much in it. You just have to take your time to appreciate it. You really just have to take your time because it's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous power in the world. And Luffy just staring at Kaido. This is the final stare down before the showdown. How can you not love it? Amazing episode. We're not going to talk about the next episode or break down the preview. Preview is what it is. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. I would like to break down the ending, but Poe would definitely get me up out of here if I play the entire ending. But the ending is fire. Either way, amazing episode. I cut out the Hiyori stuff because that's not what we're here for. Gear 5 is legit. Now, is Gear 5 stronger than Goku? Ultra Instinct? Is it more iconic than Super Saiyan? We'll talk about that in another video. But now, I've watched it so many times already, and just me breaking it down, I hope you guys have come to appreciate it a bit more as well. Right? Hope you enjoyed that. Talk to you soon.